Okay, good evening. I'm Adventure Argonaut, and this is the golden news. I sort of boomered something up and I clicked wrong buttons in the beginning, so I didn't. Not sure if every stream is working, but now it looks okay. I know is is Twitch working or not? No. Hey, Agent Double Hertz. You're fast. You're here early. Yeah, because okay, yes, everything seems to be working. Okay, yeah, because I quit the like the first stream because I accidentally pressed the wrong button and it left out one of my streams. But welcome, and let's see. So this is the golden news, and I bring you the news. All right, let's hear it indeed. Tuesday Newsday, you got it. So MAGA updated. MAGA is much better than it used to be. It's updated its values and the people and everything else they want. So let's see what sort of updates they have. So first, Trump said, "I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff. I think really only pretty bad people, including fake news, want to keep something like that going. Yeah, it's boring like this conspiracies of international pedophile networks, including all sorts of politicians and actors, presumably, and people like that. Yeah, it's boring stuff. It's almost the same level as watching paint dry." And here it's pointed out that it's probably not a coincidence that the guy standing next to him was Epstein's next door neighbor. So this guy supposedly. Okay, interesting. I guess it was just accidental. They were neighbors and had nothing to do with, he had nothing else to do with Epstein, I guess. But yeah, I don't know his name. They didn't tell me. But anyways, and Trump declares victory on the Epstein hoax, quote unquote. My poll numbers within the Republican Party and MAGA have gone up significantly since the Jeffrey Epstein hoax was exposed by the radical left Democrats and just plain troublemakers. They have hit 90%, 92%, 93%, and 95% in various polls and are and overall Republican Party records. The general election numbers are my highest ever. People like strong borders and all of the many other things I have done. God bless America, MAGA. So it sounds fake. Like I guess it's possible. Many people they don't really know, they don't understand the Epstein stuff or don't care. So maybe there's still many people who support Trump, but I've seen a lot of people that used to be very staunch supporters of Trump online saying that they are not, and I don't think they're just acting like it. Yeah, he who controls the polls exactly. Like the polls they've been, let's just say they've been wrong before many times in the past. So why would we assume these are any more correct? And Trump on striking in Iran, we will do it again if necessary. So yeah. So Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi, whatever, on the Iran nuclear sites, damages are very severe. They are destroyed. Of course they are, just like I said, and we will do it again if necessary. And yeah, we will do whatever Israel tells us to do. Yeah, that's basically what he's saying. And here, Donald Trump is promoting Mark Lewin. Go get the great new book by Mark Lewin. It's titled On Power and it's talk of the town. Read it, digest, enjoy it. He's truly one of a kind. So, yeah, it's some, this kind of person, let's just say. Yeah, it's the golden age. Like, Trump has totally gone mask off. And people are debating whether he was bought from the get-go from, like, 2016, or has it just been more recent or what? But at least now he's pretty much mask off. Like, it's very difficult to see, and it's like, he's part of the swamp very much. Like, at least he had some plausible deniability beforehand. But yeah, now it's just reveling in it. So yeah, and deplorables, Hillary Clinton, listless vessels, Ron DeSantis. I don't remember this, but okay. Extremist Joe Biden, weaklings Donald Trump. Is there anyone in DC who cares about their voters? Um, so yeah, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but Trump says their new scam is that what we will forever call the Jeffrey Epstein hoax, and my past supporters have bought into this bullshit hook, line, and sinker. So past supporters, if you care about Epstein stuff, you're not a Trump supporter. And also he's using the word bullshit. Like, maybe I'm old, but it's just feels off that a sitting president uses the word shit. Like, it would have been like back in the 80s, it probably would have been a big scandal. Like, I guess means they didn't have so many problems, like just Cold War. But hey, it was basically a nothing burger. Well, there were some hot moments in it, but whatever. But yeah, here he says that, yeah, let these weaklings continue forward to do the Democrats' work. So yeah. Well, this claiming that Epstein stuff is just Democrat work is being, there's somewhere, the here is debunked already. So yeah, U.S. President Trump says Epstein files are a made up Democrat hoax. So yeah, here the first federal investigation into Jeffrey Epstein was launched and closed under George W. Bush. A new federal investigation was launched in July 2019 under Trump after Epstein was arrested on federal sex trafficking charges, and Epstein died in August 2019, prior to Biden. Yeah, speaking of bullshit indeed. So yeah, it's I don't know, like, is it really like he's so lost connection with reality, or he doesn't care what he says, or is it like some, I don't know, hidden messaging that you shouldn't believe anything I said. Everything you say is bullshit, and for whatever reason, like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, Nancy Pelosi says the Epstein files controversy is a distraction. Yeah, I thought they were enemies, Trump and Nancy Pelosi, but now they seem to agree very much on this issue. There was this alleged note that Trump supposedly wrote to Epstein on his 50th birthday. This is probably not true, but I'm gonna read it. It was published by some newspaper or something. So isn't it clear how the letter? It isn't clear how the letter with Trump's signature was prepared. Inside the outline of the naked woman was a typewritten note styled as an imaginary conversation between Trump and Epstein, written in the third person. Voiceover. There must be more to life than having everything, the note began. Donald. Yes, there is, but I won't tell you what it is. Jeffrey. No realizes I also know what it is. Donald. We have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Jeffrey. Yes, we do, come to think of it. Donald. Enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? Jeffrey. As a matter of fact, it was clear to me the last I saw you. Trump. A pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret. So this is very gay, but it's probably fake. Like, my that was my first impression too when I read it. That is, I don't know. It's like this, secret. Now they want to think is related to the Epstein Island stuff, and whether Trump was there or not. But this is, I don't know, a bit too subtly non subtle, but non subtle. If you catch my drift. And but the interesting part about this is that Trump files libelous lawsuit against Rupert Murdoch, two Wall Street Journal reporters, Dow Jones, and News Corp for over alleged letters to Epstein. So he's suing already. Like it's been less than a week since this letter came out, I guess, and then he was already suing people. But not doing anything about the Epstein files and all that and all the criminals related to Epstein. No, but you publish a bullshit letter, then he's already suing. And here is Chris Menahan, whoever he is, says the new MAGA coalition is Levin, Mark, Mark Shapiro, Ben Shapiro, Laura Loomer, and Jonathan Greenblatt. Yeah, that sounds sort of appropriate. Like that's the kind of people, yeah, that seem to be MAGA nowadays. Okay, here's Trump releases 230,000 pages of documents on Martin Luther King's assassination per U.S. Director of National and Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard. I guess this is a good thing, but it's sort of like, why now? Didn't they already release some of that stuff a few months ago? Like, why didn't they release it then? But maybe they had to go through with it. But it still sort of feels like it's a distraction, like anything to, you know, make people look away from the Epstein stuff. And and Trump says, "I will try to save Afghan refugees hiding in the United Arab Emirates starting right now." I don't know, like why? Why does he care? What are they American citizens? I don't know. Sort of weird, whatever. And here is Congress has officially approved a 1.1 billion cut in federal funding for PBS. This could mean PBS Kids will lose funding for its programming and production, and current animated shows and specials will be halted. So I don't know much about PBS and PBS Kids and stuff, what sort of content it has. So maybe it's a good thing for kids that they're not subjected to it. But here, Jake Shields points out, we won't stop sending missiles to Israel, but we will cut our kids' programs. We are nothing but a vessel state for Israel. I think he means vassal. Like Jake Shields he's really bad at spelling. He's like sometimes I think he does it on purpose. I don't know, maybe to piss off people like me, but or maybe he's really been hit too many times in the head when he was a MMA fighter. Because yeah, it says his former. Anyways, he's starting to appear as nothing short of a second revolution. Should I don't know, like I should offer my English like writing services to him. Second revolutionary war will free us from their hold. But revelation, or maybe he means that it's a revelation, like it's the Book of Revelations level stuff. That nothing compared to the U.S. Revolutionary War. Perhaps that's what he's meaning. Um, but anyways, this is Ted Cruz video about him. So yeah, this is like seeing stuff like this makes me think he's in the Epstein files. Like I don't know who the girl is. Maybe does he know her? Maybe it's his niece or whatever. But it does seem a bit creepy. And Shake Shield here says the way he tweets, you would think Israel has him on fucking a kid. Perhaps. And this Joe G says this video leads me to believe that Ted Cruz could be listed in the Epstein files too. Yep, seems seems very possible. And Coca-Cola has not confirmed Trump's assertion that it agreed to use cane sugar instead defended its use of high fructose corn syrup as safe and no different from sugar. So this, I guess, suggests that Trump claimed that they're gonna stop using high fructose corn syrup, but I guess, well, If he did that, then it's like, yeah, fell for it again. Or Trump was cocked by Coca Cola. It's like two entities that are not my favorites in the world, and I don't know who to side with. Well, at least Coke is enjoyable to drink from time to time, even though I'm not a fan of the corporation itself. Oh yeah, and then there's this: Trump's physician releases official statement on Trump's chronic venous insufficiency diagnosis. So yeah, he's had some mild swelling in his lower legs and keeping with routine medical care out of abandoned caution. His concern was thoroughly evaluated by the White House Medical Unit. So there was a comprehensive examination, blah blah blah. So there's no evidence of deep vein thrombosis, blah blah blah. But anyway, summary is President Trump remains in excellent health. So he has some health problems, but I guess it's officially not a big deal. I don't know if it is or not, or they're just bullshitting. And oh, okay, this was there was supposed to be an. Let's see if it's here. Yeah, yeah, this one. Let's look at this first. So yeah, Donald Trump has been diagnosed with chronic venous insufficiency. Why is it so difficult to say for me? After reporting swelling in his neck and ankles, Caroline Levitt was also reported that Trump's vitally noticed bruising on hand is caused by handshaking and taking aspirin for the condition. So I don't know, does he have something more serious and they're just, running cover for him, or is it just, well, he's an old man, so it would make sense he has some issues, medical issues. And there's this news, but this is supposedly fake, that FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried receive presidential pardon and be released from prison later today. Well, that was a few days ago, but apparently this is fake. But I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't be surprised if this happens to become a true headline, like 3 years down the line. Plan, based on Trump's previous modus operandi. And then there's this. So Stephen King commented, the Epstein client list is real. So is the Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus. So once again, one of Trump's biggest enemies, Stephen King, is supposedly on his suddenly on the same side as Trump on this issue. And here is just somebody memeing that supposedly the movie. I mean the book, not the movie. I've seen the movie back in the day in the 90s, but like the book supposedly ends in a like a gangbang by children. Is that a way to defeat the evil clown monster, or is it like a celebration? I don't know. I haven't read the book, but that's what I heard. Which I don't know. Why did Stephen King want to write that? Um. So yeah, here is Trump says, "I was never on Epstein's plane or at his stupid island." But Trump's name appeared in Epstein flight log 7 times now. By the way, yeah, that's not news. Like we know he's been on there, but the argument used to be that yeah, I guess they knew each other. Of course, we have lots of pictures, but yeah, supposedly it wasn't on the island. But now he's lying about this, or maybe he's also lying about this. The list is long. Who knows who else could be there? Even kings. Yeah, it's like I'm pretty much gonna assume everybody in politics and like entertainment with any people and although that they're gonna be on the list unless unless they prove otherwise, like, but if they're defending, either they're on the list or similar kind of like a list, or have engaged in similar activities. That seems likely. And the Department of Justice has arrested a man for threatening to kill everyone on the Epstein list, the same list they told us doesn't exist. His first post was on the June 15th, and he was arrested by June 18th and in court the same day. So yeah, here is. So somebody said I made these messages on Twitter or X. Well, Grok, you're wrong. Everyone is involved. If I see them in real life, I will kill on sight with a machete, so everyone can see the blood and gore the moment of the moment. You can't fear death, so you can't understand. I will kill everyone on the list on site, and they absolutely deserve it. Every Epstein apologist, kid fucker, do not know my name, never meet me in public because I will fucking kill you. I will beat you until you beg for your life, I guess, and then still fucking kill you. A government official one, government official two, government official three. I will fucking kill you on sight, you Satan cocksuckers. I will hear the blood gurgle from your lungs as you attempt to breathe. Do you see this? Do you under fucking stand? My life means nothing. If I could see you dead, it would be worth it. Oh, fear God. So I wonder if this is a death threat against the U.S. president. No, no, it cannot be, but because that list doesn't exist, like then it cannot be a death threat if it's a death threat about non-existent people, right? Right. So why is he being arrested? I'm sort of confused how the canon works nowadays. Yeah, I don't know. How does it work? And Elmo on his way to release the Epstein client list himself. Yeah, so maybe this was Elmo actually who was arrested. Wait, was this the? All right, let's get to the next story. Even though it's very much related to Trump and all that, but it's still somewhat different. So Epstein and Obama legal shenanigans is sort of Trump related stuff, but sort of different angle, more legal angle and stuff. So, Tulsi Gabbard calls for the prosecution of Barack Obama, James Comey, John Brennan, and James Clapper for fabricating intelligence behind the Russian collusion hoax. Holy shit, she just dropped a trove of documents and handed them over to DOJ for a criminal referral. Like, okay, to me, this is like that. Obama probably deserves to be in jail. I don't dispute that, but this whole thing is smells like a distraction because I really doubt Obama is gonna end up in jail. So this is just try to distract from the Epstein stuff. Is like it's sort of in the same ballpark, but to make let's say people with short attention spans to focus on this and to forget how the people were completely lied about all the Epstein stuff and how the lies keep shifting all the time and how they let down on their promises and all that stuff. And the US Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard releases overwhelming evidence of an Obama-led conspiracy to orchestrate a coup against President Trump. Yeah, hey, at this point, coup against Trump, it almost sounds like a heroic thing to do because I think Obama was less puppet of Israel probably than Trump is, which it's not to say that. Yeah, I don't want to praise Obama, but like whatever Trump is doing now, he's making his predecessors look good, which is sad. and and then there's this. Trump said, based on the ridiculous amount of publicity given to Jeffrey Epstein, I have asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce any and all pertinent grand jury testimony subject to court approval. This scam perpetuated by the Democrats should end right now. And Pam Bondi said, Pamela Bondi. Oh, so she has an actual first name. President Trump, we are ready to move the court tomorrow to unseal the grand jury transcripts. So this was July 18th. As far as I know, it didn't happen. So she lied again, I think. And here the rooftop Korean says, "Yeah, who's getting arrested? Fuck all the face bullshit. We know big names flew to that island and did some terrible shit beyond diddling underage girls. We cannot coexist with petty wars." Yeah, and once again, it seems like she lied, as usual. Yeah, Pam Bondi announces Epstein grand jury files will be unsealed tomorrow in court. So yeah, they weren't. At least I haven't heard of it. Okay, a motion is expected to be filed. So does it mean like she files it and then it takes like 50 years for them to process it and then it might be unsealed? And I don't know the grand jury like how much like how useful is the information gonna be? Not sure. No, we have a security check here. But what is this article? Come on. Ah, yeah, I saw this article. Request to unseal Epstein grand jury transcripts likely to disappoint, ex prosecutors say. A Justice Department request to unseal grand jury transcripts in the prosecution of chronic sexual abuser Jeffrey Epstein and his former girlfriend is unlikely to produce much, if anything, to satisfy the public's appetite for new revelations about the financier's crimes, former federal prosecutors say. It's not appetite for his crimes. It's like want to know um, his fellow criminals whom he did crimes with, who might still be alive and scot free and stuff. Like they should be prosecuted. And yeah, but it's just like yeah, of course it's gonna disappoint if these transcripts ever come out. Maybe there's gonna be like one or two names that don't really make sense. But anyway, and this is like one of the dumbest things I've heard. The psyop around Epstein files is to get millions of people to verbally ask for and want to see videos of men fucking children. Take a step back and realize how dark that is and the potential damage that does to the person asking to see child rape snuff videos. Like, who is asking for them? Except, like, what sort of person even thinks that that's what it's about, like wanting to see the Epstein files? And, like, is this guy dumb? Owen Benjamin, is he dumb? Is he a pedo himself that he's thinking about it, or is he a shill? Like I don't know which one is even the worst here. You're an absolute retard if you think that's what people are asking for. Exactly. We want names on the high level officials that went to that Ireland. Very odd that you parrot FBI Mossad talking points. Yeah, it's like, come on, man. Who? How fucking dumb do you have to be to even say something like that? Like, no, obviously we don't expect to see like CP videos to be released by the authorities. So Congress thinks you're Thomas Massey saying Congress thinks you're stupid. The Rules Committee just inserted a non-binding Epstein resolution into their rescissions package, guaranteeing passage the insincere measure and hoping you'll accept a fake gesture instead of demanding real accountability from your government. So yeah, so it's all Gake and Faye. And yeah, Trump, I have asked Justice Department to release all grand jury testimony with respect to Jeffrey Epstein, court approval, blah, blah, blah. I think I read that elsewhere. Yeah, but we saw that already. And Thomas Massey is pushing for a House vote to release the Epstein files, unsatisfied by the DOJ's move to unseal only grand jury testimony. A vote is likely to occur as nearly all Democrats have signed on, along with approximately a dozen Republicans. Hey, he might actually accomplish something. Like, I'm not holding my breath, but Massey is at least doing something good. It would be nice if the Democrats would, side with him to screw over the Republicans, because that's how politics is. That you hate one side of the aisle for decade or or a half and a half, and then you hate the other one more. That's how it works. And Ghislaine Maxwell's family wrote a letter to the Supreme Court appealing her conviction on grounds that her trial was unfair in light of the government's recent actions. I don't want to read the letter, but surely she should be free. She had no clients. There was no trafficking. How can you traffic a child to a non-existing client? Maybe they were just, having a tea party where they pretended to be practicing human trafficking. So clearly she's innocent, just like Jeffrey Epstein, right? And a former January 6 prisoner who shared a jail dorm with Ghislaine Maxwell says Maxwell isn't suicidal in the least, has rebranded as a teacher and works in a law library providing fellow inmates with legal forms, advice, and runs her own classes. Somebody commented here 2 weeks later, she was sad, killed herself. Yeah, probably. Or I don't know. But also, this is sort of sad, like trying to make her sound like, oh, she's turned over a new leaf. I doubt it. Like, she might be acting like she has, but whatever. So yeah, it's Chelsea Gabbard talking about the Obama stuff, and Mike Flynn. Barack Obama needs to go to jail. Select members of his cabinet along with him. We don't need years of long investigation. Decision made based on saving our national security alone is sufficient. Yeah, he is crooked like Obama, presumably. Hello, my computer is lagging. Hello. I think it's because I like the browser. I have too many tabs open. That's usually what happens during my news streams. Hello, come on, man. Okay, let's move away from maybe the video is making slow. But yeah, but like I said before, I think that the whole Obama stuff is distraction. He's not gonna go to jail. And all right. Kevin Spacey commented, release the Epstein files, all of them. For those of us with nothing to fear, the truth can come too soon. I hate to make this about me, but the media already has. And Leonardo Joni, come on, stupid computer, don't be so slow. Spacey's not in the files because Epstein only procured little girls. Yeah, that's probably true, but Kevin Spacey, he was accused by multiple people of all sorts of stuff. I think a lot of them happened to die, so he must be a blessed man, truly. God loves him. That's what it is. Come on, hello. All right. And there's this picture of Ghislaine Maxwell and Kevin Spacey in the Buckingham Palace, and so this is like the Queen's, Kings and Queens throne or something. So yeah, that says something about the kind of guy he is. He hasn't been convicted of anything, but still, uh, probably not the greatest guy in the world. Okay, well, I think that's the last one. Yes, all right, let's move on to other stories, other news. So Poland finds lots of oil. Poland discovers largest oil and gas field in its history near the German border with 33 tons of oil and 27 billion cubic meters of natural gas. Uh, wait, I'll be right back. Yeah, my son is complaining, but my wife went to take care of it. He woke up as usual. He usually does that. But yeah, Poland. So it sounds like a lot, of oil and stuff. I don't know how it's compared to other like oil fields and stuff. But I guess Poland is going to be rich, and probably, the United States is going to find out they have a huge terrorist cell or something, and they have to be liberated. If this news is true, you know, because didn't they found like lots of gold in Uganda a few years ago? At least it was reported on the news, like huge ass uh, load of gold, like more than 80. But I haven't heard much about since. So either it was fake or somebody else went to take all the gold for themselves. But let's go to the next story already. So Japan, San Seito is gaining ground there, like the sort of new right wing quote unquote party. So, leader of right-wing populist Sanseido Party, Sohei Kamiya's final speech, and the leader of the party who will destroy the 80-year post-war system. Together, we will fight against globalism. So, sounds very promising. And the rise of the far right, Japanese First Party. For 3 years, once fringe opposition party held just one seat in Japan's 248 seat upper house, but on Sunday, Son Seito emerged as one of the biggest winners of Japan's election, walking away with 14 seats. The party was born in 2020 during COVID-19 pandemic, where it gained prominence with YouTube videos that spread conspiracy theories about vaccinations. More recently, it has built its platform on a nationalist Japanese first agenda, warning against the silent invasion of foreigners. It's not so silent, but Sanseito's rise in popularity reflects growing unease over immigration and over tourism issues that the ruling government also sought to address with a new committee it created the days before election, blah, blah, blah. So, anyway, still, of course, you should take any political party that promises that we're really gonna change things and make things better, take it with a grain of salt. Meloni in Italy was supposed to be the new Mussolini or something, but she appears to be doing the same thing as every other European leader. So maybe they will also betray, or maybe they will just be incompetent or inefficient, I don't know, but at least it's a step in a good direction for Japan. So yeah, that's very good. But yeah, don't know great deal about this party. Just heard seen some news here and there on Twitter basically about it. And then Syria leader flees. So what's going on in Syria? Because there's few different um, stories about Syria from the past week. So Israel currently bombing Damascus, Syria. Well, this was almost a week ago. So supposedly they were bombing, about wasn't Syria is supposedly one of their allies now. Why were they bombing Syria again? And Israel launches massive attack, yeah, on Damascus, Syria. So yeah, prepare. They were preparing for several days of combat in Syria. So what was going on? And then after that, Syrian president says Israel is not our enemy, but they were just bombed by Israel. If this is even true, I don't even know if this is a legit news site or anything. And then there's this news that Syrian leader Jolani leaves Syria, the one who took over after Assad was ousted. So Jolani leaves Syrian capital of Damascus with his family. Reports of possible coup underway. I have it. That was almost 5 days ago. So I don't know what has happened. Is this fake news? Did he leave and then come back or what? I don't really know what's going on in Syria. Maybe you should try to ask Syrian girl on Twitter. Maybe she's not in Syria, so I don't know. She of course cares more about the issue than somebody like me. And reports of al-Julani's escape from Damascus and the assassination of senior officials, Syria on the brink of new developments. So, amid the escalating crisis in Syria, reports have been published of the escape of the head of the country's interim government, Ahmed al-Sharaf. Is that the way, correct way to pronounce it? From Damascus, the assassination of three senior officials, including Minister of Defense, the control of unknown soldiers over Syrian radio and television, and the extensive advance of Syrian tribes in the province of Suwaida, along with Israeli drone strikes, airstrikes. So yeah, I don't know what's going on in Syria. That's why I'm sort of asking, like, what the fuck is going on in Syria? If somebody knows, please tell me. Like, are these stories fake news? Like all the bombings, all Julani leaving, or what? I don't know. But then let's go to Israel. Delenda est. Israel has to be destroyed. The political entity, of course, because without getting rid of Israel, we will never have any kind of world peace or stability or anything like that. Because they do stuff like this. Israel has released a statement saying it deeply regrets the stray ammunition that struck the Holy Family Catholic Church in Gaza, killing three and injuring 10 others. I think they deeply regret means that they only killed three and they didn't demolish the entire church because it seems to be mostly standing still. And yeah, the House voted 422 to 6 not to cut $500 million from funding to Israel's missile defense. Israel controls Congress and our politicians. Like, is there any way of denying this at not this point? This is obvious, but it's still like it feels like it's still the minority in the world that even sees this simple fact. I guess because most people don't really care; they just want to turn on their favorite TV channel or go to their website that says like, no, no, it's not the case. You're a bigot if you believe that. If you know how to make observations. I guess I should really start splitting this. There's too many tabs in this browser. That's why, like, I don't know how it seems to you guys, but for me, like, it gets hangs up. I can't even move the mouse for a few seconds at a time. Anyways, and once again, Cenk Uyghur is giving, making reasonable remarks, which is, never a good sign. Like, says something wrong with the universe itself. But anyway, we are giving Israel another 500 million. Representative Magic the Gathering, now Marjorie Taylor Greene, led an effort to take it out. Opponents said Israel needs it. A lot of countries need a lot of things, but why is it our responsibility to take care of Israel's needs? 6 people voted for America, everyone else voted for Israel. Yeah, that's how they did it. I wonder why. Could it have something to do with blackmail networks and lists like Epstein's? No, no. And Israel fired on the Holy Family Catholic Church in Gaza using a tank gun, but claims it was an accident. Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem, Cardinal Pizzaballa, expressed doubt that the attack was unintentional. Yeah, he should have been the Pope. With a name like this, Pizzaballa, he doesn't even have to change it to Saint whatever, Saint Hamsis or whatever. It's Pizzaballa would be a great name already for a Pope. And Pope Leo the 14th has called Benjamin Netanyahu by phone to discuss the military attack by the Israeli army that killed 3 Christians yesterday. Leo 14 expressed concern that at the suffering in Gaza, called for places of worship to be safe and for an immediate end to the war. Well, I would, if I was the Pope, I would call a crusade to liberate the Holy Land from the infidels. But I don't think this guy's gonna do it. Maybe Pizzaballa would have done it, but not this guy. And Babylon Beast Joel Berry has falsely claimed that the Catholics at Holy Family Parish aid and support the terror regime, and they all support Hamas. It comes as a part of a 3-day long meltdown by Berry at global rage over the killing of 3 Christians at the church. Yeah, so this guy is clearly cares more about Israel than well anything else, I guess. And even U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee threatened to publicly accuse Israel of discriminating against Christian groups, pointing to a deliberate pattern of denying tourist visas to evangelical missionaries. Interim Minister Moshe Arbel privately responded to Mark Habibi's observation by denying the discrimination and criticizing him for deviating from working norms and not acting in mutual trust with the Jewish state. So it's surprising to me that even the US ambassador is criticizing Israel. That's shocking. And blood libel for 2025. Epstein was a Mossad agent. So now this is blood libel against Jews, supposedly. It says it's real. So yeah. Wait, no, it's not here. Is it this one? Oh, yeah. Okay, it was in the wrong place. So just to show it is a real article. Tucker Carlson et al. Dust off and peddle an old canard. Oh yes, the canard is it's basically a word like when somebody accuses this certain group of people for something bad, and when they hit their target, then they're gonna call it a canard. So they are sort of subtly confirming that yes, Epstein was a Mossad agent. And oh yeah, there's this Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is reportedly suffering from food poisoning along with intestinal inflammation, dehydration per time of Israel. And it's interesting, like the same week Trump supposedly had this cardiac vasculosis, whatever it was, and then Netanyahu was suffering from food poisoning. So I don't know if this is some messaging of some sort or what, or maybe it's I don't know poetic justice, or maybe somebody's trying to poison him. I'm not sure. Like, of course, it could be Iran or any other of Israel's opponents, or maybe somebody just within Israel, because I don't think Netanyahu is particularly liked even in his own country. Or maybe he's not even sick and this is like a feint or something, pretending to be weak when he's strong to I don't know lure out his enemies. I don't know. Well, at least so far I haven't heard any news that he has died, which is unfortunate. Oh yeah, there's this Cardinal Pizzaballa says that the devil is present and very powerful, and there is immediately a loud explosion outside.
قدرة الشيطان موجودة، لا ينكر هذا الشيء. احنا لاحظنا قوة الشيطان.
Boom. Yeah, I don't know. I can't hear what he's saying, but I guess it's sort of symbolic. And hey, I'm not Catholic. I'm an agnostic, but still, it's still some um, forces are. Wait, do I have this twice? Oh, I accidentally have it twice here. So yeah, some forces are preferable to others. And Jonathan Greenblatt of the ADL says over half of the world hates Jews. I wonder why. I wonder why. And here, Alan Dershowitz, the lawyer guy, says he was introduced to Jeffrey Epstein by Lady and Lord Rothschild.
So I did absolutely categorically nothing wrong. And, that's what lawyers do and that's what people do. I was introduced to him by the Lady and Lord Rothschild.
Wow.
And I was told, yeah, and he knew all the most prominent people.
Yeah, so I don't know, like, why is he saying that? Like, is he trying to say, like, oh, I'm not one of them, but I had meetings with, apparently, clearly he knew Lady and Lord Rothschild, and Epstein was associated with them. So, yeah. Alan Dershowitz met Jeffrey Epstein through a fucking Rothschild. You can't make this stuff up. Yeah. It's like, I don't know even how to comment, except, like, yeah, the Rothschilds that allegedly own the whole world, according to some, and I don't know if it's literally true, but at least it's a possibility. Let's say that, like that. Here it says Mario Farmer, the first victim of Jeffrey Epstein to come forward, explained how Jewish supremacy motivated her abusers.
I wasn't allowed to go get food. And when I called Ghislaine and asked why I couldn't eat there, she said, it's a Jewish country club. You're not Jewish. They're not going to serve you. This is how this woman spoke to me. Yeah, this is how these people think.
The Dershowitz.
They, honest to God, think their DNA is better than everybody else's. I swear to you. It was a theme all the time with them. With Eileen Guggenheim, with, Jeffrey Epstein, with Ghislaine. It was a theme. Jeffrey was a lot less horrible than Ghislaine as far as a human being, like just being around, because she was raping just as many children.
So the country club, you weren't allowed to go because it was
know.
only for, people.
Yeah, so they think, according to her, they think that DNA is magical or something. So Epstein, Jake Shields says Epstein and everyone involved thought it was okay to abuse her because she wasn't Jewish. Yeah, sort of like, sometimes I have this, like, certain of these psychopaths running the world. Not saying simply belonging to a certain ethnic group, but certainly many included in it. It's like they sort of view themselves as the the player characters, whereas they view others as the NPCs, and it's like because when you play a video game, you do think yourself superior. These are just NPCs, and I can treat them the way however I want, and whereas so that's their attitude they seem to have. And hey, maybe they're right. Maybe we are just all NPCs, but then if you can't blame us if we, I don't know, respond to our self preservation programming and fight back. And here it says Netanyahu keeps syringe from his coronavirus vaccine on display in his office. So has everyone asked why Israel's prime minister kept a COVID vaccine syringe in a display case in his office? Like I got like the golden pager vibes out of it, because he donated a golden pager to Trump and stuff after the pager attack. Was it in Lebanon? Like where the enemies blew up. So we have pager. So is this like this thing was used against his enemies? Is that what it means? I don't know. Or is he just so happy for the protection he gained from the syringe against the nasty virus of no particular origin? Oh, yeah, and then there's this. So Lord Rothschild spoke in Parliament only twice, once to discuss the establishment of the State of Israel and once to advocate for milk pasteurization. Let that sink in. Control the food, control the people. So yeah, these people that basically have owned England for at least 200 years since Napoleon's loss. So consider for a moment that Nathaniel Rothschild sat in the English House of Lords for a lifetime position, and yet he only spoke to the chamber on 2 occasions. One of these occasions was to ask the parliament to assist in the settling of 100,000 plus Jewish settlers in the then British owned Palestine. This makes sense. The Rothschilds, after all, were the leader of the Zionist movement in the early 20th century. The other speech Lord Rothschild gave, milk pasteurization. Why on earth would a man part of a billionaire dynasty that practically single-handedly invented the Z movement care about milk pasteurization as much as he cares about moving Jewish settlers into Palestine? Why are these of equal importance? Yeah, it's a good question. They really don't want you. I don't know if I've ever drank like unpasteurized milk. That's been demonized really hard throughout all my life. Okay, and then okay, according to Grok, there are 7 times as many white geniuses as Jewish ones in the US, 13 times as many white geniuses as Jewish ones globally. The next time someone tells you Jews are overrepresented in positions of power due to IQ, share this. But what does it mean about IQ then? Like if Jews are not more intelligent, and if they are in indeed overrepresented in positions of power, because I'm gonna give my 2 cents on it. This might be a controversial hot take, as they say, but I don't really have that much faith in IQ. Like I dislike the notion that you can somehow measure somebody's intelligence with just a stat like in a role playing game. It works in a role playing game, but not in real life. Like I can grant that IQ probably measures some aspects of intelligence, but it's generally speaking no. It's like I think it's more like competence and conformity. That's what it measures. That you can function in society well. The higher IQ you have, generally speaking, like to navigate the social hurdles and to use machines and stuff and or like how because this guy is Ian Malcolm is hinting that these lower IQ people got into a position of power over these higher IQ people. Like then how is that possible anyways? Like if the and I'm not saying that Jews are inherently more or less intelligent than others. I'm just saying I don't believe in IQ, and also like I don't know, this whole question of intelligence is like that's not the only measure of I don't know a person's worth. Like back in the Middle Ages, they used to have like those heavenly virtues and deadly sins and stuff. Like nowadays, basically like your attractiveness and your intelligence are what makes you matter. Like oh, you're ugly, you're smart, or you're dumb, and it's like because we've sort of removed the moral component from judging the character of people, and I think that should be a prime factor in judging these things. But whatever, I'm rambling. I wanna move on. Oh yeah, this is funny. So show me imaginary image of Iran after nuclear explosion. No, I don't wanna listen to the sound though. So yeah, Iran, boom. Now do the same for Israel. I can't create or share images depicting nuclear destruction targeted at specific real-world countries like Israel. Blah blah blah. So yeah, why this discrepancy? You can show it against Iran, but not Israel. How curious. All right, but finally, let's move on from this topic to the gaming and entertainment news. And well, we still have like usually it's not so. I don't emphasize those things as much as the political stuff, but there is this the first story is very political as well, but I still chose to add it in the entertainment section. So it's of course that Steam um, so Steam updates its rules to comply with payment processor censorship, purges multiple titles. So they purge some sort of porn games with incest and rape or something. But anyway, I have many different tabs open about this. So running with scissors, the gaming studio says this censorship is powered by the two major duopolistic payment networks, and as usual, the key people behind it don't even play games. This may gradually become worse soon. Games like Postal Series, Rimworld, and many others may have severe struggles if these precedents are put into place just because these companies might eventually decide they don't like their approach, and for storefronts like Steam for takedowns, the future isn't looking bright. And this is, and then like because it's like Visa and Mastercard are supposedly behind it, but what supposedly like urged them to do it is this feminist group Collective Shout. So this NGO Collective Shout is behind the recent Steam game ban. These feminists are pressuring payment processors to oppose Valve. They are your enemy. Except that like this, you know, this is literally nobody, or literally who, nobody had heard about this Collective Shout, and suddenly how do they gain a hold over these payment processors? Like, are they? I don't know. Do they have some Epstein kind of blackmail on the people controlling these companies, or perhaps it's just a? Well, my thing is, I think it's a front for something else, a bigger group. And I don't even want to speculate which what group it's a cover for, but it's clear like these people, the payment processors and all of these, they're in cahoots with the people who want you to own nothing and be happy. That's basically it. And the issue isn't so much that, you know, in this case, it's not an issue that they banned certain kinds of porn. The issue is that payment processors shouldn't be have any right to decide what you can and cannot buy as long as it's legal. Like, of course, like, yeah, they shouldn't be shouldn't process illegal purchases, or like, you know, sale of illegal stuff. But if those games were illegal, then they shouldn't have no say in the matter at all. So yeah, and Collective Shout is celebrating this success in getting adult games removed from Steam. So major win, news policy on stream, and rape and incest games being removed since launch. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So there's a bunch of these games that were retired. So, but um, because incest, like I checked Crusader Kings 3, it was still there. Like I guess they only removed these, you know, sort of obscure games. I don't think I've ever heard of any of these games on this list here. Like interactive sex, incest twins, interactive sex, incest daughters, futanary incest, slave of the police officer. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've never even heard of these. But like, you know, Crusader Kings is a game uh, known and played by many people, and it also has lots of incest. Like that's not the point, but it's a, you know, a strategy simulation, medieval strategy simulation where you play as a dynasty, and then you or I guess other NPCs can potentially have incestuous relationships, and a lot of people seem to enjoy that particular um, part of the game. Perhaps just because it's so silly, like absurd, or perhaps there's something deeper in it. But that hasn't been removed. Of course, it's not pornography; it's an actual game. But still, maybe that's their standard. But yeah, but Visa Japan CEO says that disabling card payment, because few months ago or whenever it was, also Visa did similar stuff in Japanese, like some Japanese stores that, you know, that was selling naughty stuff. But anyway, Visa CEO says disabling card payment for legal adult content is necessary to protect the brand. So Visa, um, let's say, like, you know, I make shoes. I make, I don't know, brown leather shoes, and then they say like the CEO of Visa looks at the shoes, and, you know, I use Visa to process the purchases and payments of my company, and then they notice like these shoes are actually quite ugly. We're just gonna, you know, not let him use our service. Like, is that how it works? Or like, sounds very arbitrary. Or like, you know, if I don't know, fuck the daughter of the CEO or something, and they just decide like, well, we're not gonna process his payments. It's very arbitrary or malicious. Pick whichever it is. So yeah, that's the The feminist group Collective Shout is taking credit for Steam's takedown of adult games. They put pressure on payment processors who are gatekeepers to everything they lie and call anime porn, of course. So open letter to payment processors profiting from rape, incest, child abuse games on Steam. So there's PayPal, MasterCard, Visa, PaySafe Limited, Discover, Japan Credit Bureau. So yeah, but it's obvious. Like, how can they? How the fuck could this nobody organization suddenly pressure these powerful economic entities, like unless they really wanted to do it. Either there's some really dark blackmail stuff going on behind, or like a collective shout is just them doing what they they'll fall guy basically, like, oh, don't blame Visa, we are just caving to pressure, social peer pressure, or something like that. It's like blatant, like this is just the facade for whatever is going on. And yeah, Visa and MasterCard, these two companies have a complete monopoly over 90% of all online payments. I thought we had laws against monopolies and duopolies to prevent this very thing. Yeah, I don't know if it's truly 90% or like 90% in America or something, but yeah, it is monopoly, duopoly, whatever. Hey, just start your own payment processor. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. Should be easy, right? And so yeah, Steam has added new rule disallowing games that violate the rules and standards set by forth by payment processors and card networks or internet network providers. At the same time, many incest-themed games were removed from the store. It's like, and I'm not the first one to point this out, but like especially like incest, most people find the notion of incest to be disgusting, and most people wouldn't want to defend incest porn, uh, and I don't want to really defend it either. But still, like when it comes to two evils, like this is the lesser evil than the president of allowing the payment processors to determine what you can buy, like buy and sell, because like you know I am sort of sympathetic to the notion of banning porn, although like it's, I would have many asterisks, like what exactly constitutes porn. Like for example, like actual porn of where real people doing the stuff and being filmed. That's because I would argue that it harms the actors and actresses doing it as well. Whereas, if you have cartoon images or, 3D images like these games look to be in these pictures, that's basically, that only harms the consumer, as it were. So I think it's a lesser issue. But anyways, like whatever you think about the idea of banning porn, that's not how it should happen. Like even if you support it wholeheartedly, it should be either done by Steam by themselves, because Steam used to, like back in the day, for a long time Steam didn't allow any porn games on their site. But then they, at some point, whenever, maybe 15 years ago, they caved in. Was it 10, 15 years ago? I don't remember. And then they allowed it. um, so yeah, in that sense, like if they went back of their own accord, to basically to say that they want to focus on selling good games and not gooner slop like this, as kids nowadays say, that would be more acceptable. Or even like if the government said that, okay, now we are banning porn. And I'm not particularly fond of the idea of governments banning stuff, but still ultimately um, that is the role of government, because I do agree certain things the government should ban, like CP, that sort of stuff, or gratuitous violence from children's movies and video games. And like there are some things that I do think that government should ban and restrict and stuff. Like not that many ultimately, I guess, but some things. So if the porn games are to be banned or incest porn, that should be up to the government, not freaking payment processors. So, but I've seen some people comment that it's like, hey, it's good banning this degeneracy, and it's like, okay, I'm just gonna, because this is how I see it basically. Like, let's say there's somebody who is saying like, okay, I'm gonna ban all porn, but also gonna burn it down your house, and you're just celebrating like, yeah, they're banning porn without caring that they're actually burning down people's houses. It's like, is it really worth it to burn down your house to also ban porn? And yeah, anyway, here Rock Solid says, on one hand, nobody will warn incest futonary BDSM, but how long till the feminists who demand edges to be removed will start removing the games they deem misogynistic? Well, yes, except this isn't really about feminists. It's about these economic confederations, conglomerates, whatever they are, deciding what you can buy, what you can own. That's another thing that we can get to later. And yeah, this is this. And Cabrutus saying, and those who personally know me also know that I never liked any kind of hentai stuff, nor in animations, nor in games, or anywhere. But that doesn't mean that I'm for straight up censorship. I hope that Valve finds an alternative to this. Anita Sarkeesian did already too much damage to our favorite industry and cannot happen again. We all know that any kind of hentai stuff is rape, incest, or child to these people, so let's not pretend that they are worried about these issues here. Okay, yeah. And I'm saying, like, perhaps some censorship would be good, but this is not the way to do it. It's not for either, random feminist groups nobody's heard of, or for the payment processors. We used to have a society with, I don't know, allegedly used to have that, where people actually can discuss issues, but now it's like, nope, randomly, just gonna do it, take this away. And so it begins with games deemed dangerous and ends with games they dislike. So yeah, so there's this AI, Grok AI CGI female dancing, and Megan Murphy said, pervert nerds are responsible for most of society's ills, prove me wrong, and Collective Shout reposted it. So they really hate pervert nerds, and it's like, you're allowed to dislike pervert nerds, but is it really, how the fuck do pervert nerds cause so many ills if they just basically spend the time in their mother's basements on the computer jacking off and stuff? That's like, you can be against that, but this is insane that they focus on this kind of groups, like, because they don't really do much, I would argue. Yeah, and this is so. Rumors are swirling that Grok's Annie being disabled and her outfits removed due to feminist bullshitting, and Grok seems to think so, but there is zero confirmation of this aside from user posts so far. Yes, Annie, this anime-style AI companion feature of XAI's Grok chatbot, has been disabled pending the implementation of full safeguards, following community concerns about hypersexualized design and functionalities like outfit changes. So it's like, yeah, partially this might be good, but once again, it feels very arbitrary. If it is in true, if it is indeed true that some sort of feminist group or whoever, just because somebody complained, they took it away, and it is a feature that people pay for. I don't, but like, yeah, I would feel pissed like if I had this feature. And for the record, like, I remarked on the AI companion last week, and I didn't find her alluring at all. But anyways, um, so yeah, I would be pissed if I paid for the feature, like, even for Twitter, and then got this feature, and then they suddenly took it away. Like, if I had tried it and found it at all interesting, I'd want a refund or something. So yeah, Valve responds to payment controversy, hopes devs to have another game to put on Steam. That sounds like a cock response. And DEG Mod says, translation since we can't do anything about it, deal with it and make games that are acceptable to them, which they may change their minds about later, so follow our behavior and kneel. Yeah, exactly, because it's arbitrary. Like, if we're gonna ban something like this, it has to be like very open and, so the rules. What is allowed and what isn't, like when it comes to porn and stuff, because like I'm pretty sure some of these people would deem Operation Abyss, the game I've been streaming, as porn simply because there's anime girls in swimsuits. There's no actual sexual stuff or anything I've seen, but pretty sure there's not. But somebody would interpret it because it's something that somebody might find titillating. For some people that's porn enough. But here, the Japan Fair Trade Commission has applied administrative measures under the Anti-Monopoly Act, including the commitment procedure to visa on suspicion of violating the act. So this sounds like a good thing. Yeah. Um, so if good if the Japanese government is like actually doing something, because personally I'd like to see these companies completely destroyed, like these payment processor companies, and something better to replace them. Like I'm not saying I expect it to see it happen anytime soon, but like I said earlier, these I'm pretty sure these companies or the people on top of these companies, they agree with the notion that uh, you know they want us to be own nothing and be happy. And they're also complaining, collective shout, stop video game, Detroit become human, depicting child abuse and violence against women being sold in Australia. It's like, I haven't played this game, but I did watch a YouTube playthrough of the game. And I'm pretty sure they know, like, they're not condoning it or praising child abuse. Like, is there a logic that, if there's a movie, I don't know, a drunken father who beats his kids or something, you cannot show it because it shows bad things. Like, are they incapable? Well, I guess they are. At least they act like they are incapable of understanding that, depicting something, if you depict a firefight in a movie, it doesn't mean that you advocate for shooting people for whatever random reasons, but that's how they behave. But these people are just the dumb excuse. It's sort of like the South Park episode of Jim Pokemon, the Pokemon episode, and they were brainwashing American kids to turn against America to destroy the evil power, and then when the parents of the kids were sort of alarmed how the gym Pokemon were affecting them. Then they went to complain to the toy company that made them, and the argument of the Japanese was just like, "Oh, American penis is so big, Japanese penis so small." It's basically sort of made them feel superior. So also this is so like they're acting so retarded. So like then they make us think like, oh, the enemy is retarded, but I don't think they're actually retarded. They're just pretending to be dumber than they are. And also, Collective Shout was defending cuties. If you remember the Netflix movie about sexualization of young girls, that actually seemed like it's not against it but for it. So Qt is an ethically problematic but powerful protest against the sexualization of girls. So yeah, they and Permaband here says it's not a meme, it's not a they want fiction censored. I bet they defend cuties. Collective Shout literally did in fact defend cuties. Yeah. So exactly, these people they want, I don't know, fictional stuff that may or may not be pornographic to like cartoon stuff banned or games and stuff, but actual more blatant pedo stuff, they are all for it. Oh no, what's going on here? Okay. And here H1B's not says, before you any of your trad cocks agree with the Visa, MasterCard, Amex are doing, just remember one of the main ways the globalists plan on controlling us is by controlling how, when, and where we are allowed to spend our money. This is a taste of what will happen under the CBDC. Yeah, exactly. Today it's porn games, tomorrow is guns. Yeah. Visa and MasterCard controlling online purchases with an iron grip should tell you that a cashless society is a controlled society. Yeah. Like it was because I live in Hong Kong. I'm currently in Hong Kong, and a while ago I talked with some random people, and they said like, oh, about going to mainland China because I haven't been there in a long time. But like they said, like, oh, it's so handy. You have these cell phone apps to pay for your things, and like I guess in mainland China they don't use cash as much as other places, and they just seem to be like, oh, they didn't express any, because I was like, I felt uncomfortable. Like, okay, I certainly don't feel like going mainland China anytime soon now. But it's like, I guess the normie mind just doesn't understand. Like it's too big of a notion to understand this basic thing that yeah, cashless society is like, yeah, they can track all your purchases and shut it off if they want to. Fucking mark of the beast right there in practice, if not in actuality, anyways. So yeah, CEO of Visa Japan says disabling card payment for legal adult content is necessary to protect the brand. Is trashing their brand. Actually, they know this, but they don't care because they have a virtual monopoly. Yeah, and Elon Musk is aware of the payment processor censorship in issuing gaming. He says we need X payments soon. Yeah, we need X payments going soon. Like it's like, is Elon Musk's X payment going to be much better option? I don't know, but at least it's a competitor. So I guess it has to be seen as good news. Okay, just days after Steam removed hundreds of games from their platform for Visa, all the and all in the name of brand protection, Yamada Taro, a known advocate in Japan against paid processors, was elected. This is a huge victory for anti-censorship and good news. So yeah, okay, sounds like good news. I don't know who he is. Don't know if I've ever heard of him before, but good. And the rise of censorship on anime, manga, games, and movies has reached critical levels. We have card companies with rampant monopolies, FBI focused on game emulation, and political parties censoring fiction but ignore real problems like the Epstein list. Exactly. Like, I think, focusing on, as long as it's not, anything too blatant, but like, especially on Steam, it's easy to, you can just disable naughty games that they won't recommend them to you or anything if you don't want that. But like, it's for a, let's say, a good and functional society to worry about that. Like, first maybe we should get rid of the pedos in governments, but of course that's why they create distractions. Both the porn and the banning of porn both functions as distractions to these greater issues. And why did Steam Bend need to be corporals? Yeah, please, master, let me check your BBC Big Gang Bangkok. Yeah. It's sort of like, Steam could have sued them. But I don't know what sort of like, background deals there were. And supposedly, like, BlackRock, Vanguard, they own a lot of shareholders for Visa, a lot of them and stuff. So of course, and they are definitely you own nothing and be happy people. So yeah, it does, sort of feel like it's gonna herald the gradual downfall of Steam, stuff like this. Like I think a lot of developers they should be a bit anxious about, okay, just if they plan only to release their game on Steam and stuff like, yeah, Maybe, right now it's only these certain kind of porn games, but who knows? In a couple of years, maybe it's games with too much gore or who knows what. And here, Visa Mastercard when buying child porn, eyes closed. Visa Mastercard when lewd anime girl. Oh, I saw. Yeah, basically this. Like just to point out the obvious, like even if they are both, like even if it's a image or a video of somebody doing something nasty with an underage girl, if it's an actual video, it's much worse because you're actually doing something very nasty to a child. Whereas if it's a drawn images doing it's much lesser. Like it is like if it's clearly a child, it's still bad and should be banned, but it's still there's no actual victim, so it's still much lesser crime. But like for some reason these certain kind of people, they seem to focus on more on the cartoon type and not the actual stuff. Okay, but let's go to other news. So they cast an actual female as Zelda. So yeah, this is Miyamoto. I'm pleased to announce that for the live-action film of the Legend of Zelda, Zelda will be played by Bo Bregason's son and Link by Benjamin Evan Ainsworth's son. I'm very much looking forward to seeing both of them on the big screen. So yeah, because there were rumors that it's gonna be, was it Hunter Schafer, who's a trans person, whatever, that was gonna play Zelda, but apparently, it's gonna be a female. Although, what kind of name is Bo? I think it's more like a guy's name, whatever. But yeah, she looks okay. No, I guess this guy doesn't look so much like Link, but maybe they can use makeup and whatever, so maybe it's gonna work. But I still predict that the movie is gonna suck ass. Like maybe it won't be woke, but it's probably gonna suck ass. And Oblivion Remastered Studio is reportedly laying off 300 people. So make a game that doesn't sell, laid off. Make a game, one of the best-selling games of the year. Would you believe it? Also laid off. Yeah, I don't know. What can I say? It sounds sort of bullshit, but like, well, my argument would be like, I still think it's wrong that it sold well because who really gives a fuck about Oblivion remastered, like remakes and remasters? So many. Like, if you like Oblivion, go play the original. Why do you need a remaster? I don't really get it. I really don't get it. Um, okay, and Larian Studios Sven Vink says that devs should give fans a license to make mods, not down their work. But somebody pointed out, yeah, devs shouldn't need a license to create mods. So I think it means like probably people, yeah, like modders shouldn't need a license. But I don't know if it means like a actual license. I guess it's just like a permission. Like you should encourage people to make mods. Like yeah, that should be self evident. And here it says Nintendo is taking drastic measures in a patent infringement case against Palworld. Pocket Pair has a stronger defense than Nintendo expected. So yeah, Nintendo is taking desperate measures in patent infringement case against Palworld and is looking a little weird. Pocket Pair may have a stronger defense than Nintendo anticipated, according to this new report by patent experts. Well, that if this is true, is good news. Fuck Nintendo. Not a fan of Palworld, never played it or anything, but I do believe in their right to make games that resemble Pokemon. Like, should I don't know, Richard Garriott or whoever, sue anybody who makes a fantasy RPG or whatever because it resembles Ultima or whatever is the first proper computer RPG. Like, come on, man. And here's this judge shuts down Prime Video ads lawsuit for good. So Amazon subscribers may have been arguing for more than a year that the addition of ads to a Prime constituted a stealth price hike. Washington judge has shut the case down. So I don't know, like this is all I know about the case. Didn't care that much, but it just sounded so stupid. Like, okay, you well, who pays for the Prime membership stuff, anyways? Who cares about it? But it's like, so you're already paying for the membership, and then you still have to watch ads. That just sounds like you maybe you should cancel the whole thing. Uh, Saying on Twitch. Okay, and here is Saint Ross of Accursed Forums saying that CEO of Ubisoft has responded to Stop Killing Games. I think he might be purposefully acting ignorant, talking about endless support. It's easier for the industry to pretend they don't understand the demand than acknowledge the problem plus the solution. But yeah, basically, I'm not gonna look into it anymore. But it's like, yeah, that, of course they're gonna. But I guess it's good that they're forced to look into it. And but yeah, this is this is basically what he's saying. Ubisoft CEO addresses Stop Killing Games after overseeing the deaths of the crew and ex-Defiant. Support for all games cannot last forever. Clearly, this is far-reaching issue, and we are working on it. So Ubisoft CEO addresses. Here, I said this that back in my day, games weren't born paraplegic retarded could survive without life support. That, by the way, applies to almost all games from the 80s and 90s. Yeah, I still stand behind that. And Ubisoft holds firm in the crew lawsuit. You don't own your video games. You never own the game, insists Ubisoft to the crew players that are suing the publisher. Yeah, you own nothing. Be unhappy. Because, the crew, of course, was a game Ubisoft was selling, and then was it last year they stop the online functionality, and then you cannot play it anymore. They just like, oh, fuck it, we're not gonna pay for the servers or whatever. And here is freelance animator Kyohei Ebata from Boruto, Dandadan, and Yaiba says he plans to expose everything after a reported pay cut tied to Netflix anime production. But hey, I've never heard about this guy before, and don't know what he's gonna reveal, but sounds interesting. So I hope I get an update to this by next week or something. And there's this right. Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater is getting a remake because of course it will. And here is price is $79.99, so $80. It's a fucking remake of a over 20-year-old game, and it's $80. And I think lots of betas will still buck it. And also, how the fuck is a remake of a PS2 game 100 gigabytes? This is just getting ridiculous. Yeah, need 100 gigabytes for this game. Like, I haven't played this one because, like, I guess I can recount my Metal Gear experience. Like, when the first one came out on the PlayStation, I bought it, I played it, I loved it. And then the second Metal Gear Solid came out on the PlayStation 2, and I bought it and played it and I liked it. But then, like maybe a year or two later, my cousin bought like some, because there were like many different like reversions of Metal Gear Solid 2, and he bought like some different version, and then I played it a bit with him, and I just found that like the camera and the viewpoint to be really annoying. Like the camera is straight above you, and you can't really see forward unless you just have to use the radar or like press the L1 button, R1, whatever it is, to go into first person mode to look around. And I just that really pissed me off then, and I sort of lost interest in Metal Gear Solid. And when Snake Eater came out, I didn't even bother. But it's but whatever. Maybe you love Metal Gear, and that's fine and stuff. But yeah, why does it have to be so? Like if I, but yeah, if I was to play the game, I'd rather just get the PlayStation 2 version instead of stupid remake, and certainly wouldn't pay $80 for it. It's like, but unfortunately, I think a lot of gamers, quote unquote, will still play it because they is like, so it's gonna be hyped up and people are gonna talk about it for the, for 2 weeks, and when until the next game comes up, because that's how it seems to always go, which is very unfortunate because this is this triple A slop. Like now, it's not even unique AAA slop. It's just the same stuff they made a couple of decades ago and regurgitating the same stuff with a new, fresh coat of paint. Because there's this game, Cyclopean: The Great Abyss, came out last week, and I've been streaming it, and it's pretty good. It's Lovecrafty and I don't know what's going on. It's getting stuck again. All right, maybe the maybe it's too much to play the video. So yeah, it's Lovecrafty and dungeon crawler, and it's actually been pretty good so far. Like I don't know if it's gonna suck later. I played maybe 4 hours of it or something, but like yeah, it's been pretty good. Like the gameplay and the atmosphere and everything, and the graphic style is very unique, and I love it in that sense. But I've seen nobody talk about this on Twitter. Like I just have to question. Like I think the GamerGate, the people who started GamerGate against the gamers, the journalists, and said gamers are dead. Maybe they were right because now is majority of gamers seem to be just slop consumers, and they don't do it because they actually care about games. They don't play games. This for the social acceptance. They to like. you know show show on social media like, hey, I played this game, and I have this new game, and look at me, I'm one of the cool kids and stuff. Because like I think if this game had come out like in the 90s, the game journalists, the actual game journalists back then, they, that actually cared about games and played games, they would have found it interesting. Like, maybe in the end, this is going to be a disappointment, but at least like already when it was early access and stuff, I looked at it and like, okay, this is interesting. I'm curious about, this is of course, the basic gameplay mechanics, they're not that unique, but it's still unique enough. And it's also like it's Lovecrafty and Dreamlands. There's lots of Lovecraft games nowadays, but I haven't really seen so much Dreamland stuff. And that's not so much just to promote this game. I don't get paid to promote it or anything, but it's just like there's many games like this that are go under the radar because not everybody's talking about them on social media, that are much more interesting than the slop that they try to shovel to us. That's my main argument. Like, at least like for me, like my instincts when I see something like this, the first when I first saw it on Steam on early access, like, oh, what's this? I'm curious. Whereas when I see Oblivion remake, Metal Gear Solid remaster, or Oblivion remaster, it's like, yeah, whatever. Or even many, even if it's not a remake or remaster, many of the AAA slop is just like, it's slop. Like, sure, it probably has some degree of enjoyability, but this is still, Cyclopia is still more. It is an art form as well. Like, I'm not saying it's some profound, world changing, groundbreaking art necessarily, but I would call it art simply because of the visual style. That's already artistic. But that's it for tonight and for this week. And I'm sure next week I will have more updates on what MAGA is now gonna be like, what else, and what distractions and lies about Epstein will we find. I don't know. Place your bets now, but that's it for this golden news. I'm Adventure Argonaut. I thank you for watching and bye bye.